What is up, sports geeks? It's your host Josh here, back with another episode today. This has got to be one of, if not the best episode we've done. Today I'm joined by Cam and Alec. Cam, how you doing today?
Doing great. How you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Alec, yourself?
Doing great. Doing great.
Ready to mock draft?
Ready to mock draft. Always ready. Always ready.
So today we are doing a full first round NFL mock draft. So that's what we're doing today. It'll be in rotating order. Cam will have the first pick. Alec will have the second pick. I'll have the third pick, and then we will continue to cycle through the entire first round like that. Nobody will be picking for the Miami Dolphins for reasons that we already know, as they don't have a first round pick. But so we will be cycling through. We're going to hop right into this. Cam, you have the first overall pick. Who are you taking to go to the Carolina Panthers?
The first overall pick, I want to see the Panthers take C.J. Stroud. I do think that he is a better quarterback, at least in the NFL, than Bryce Young. I think that he would be a better fit for the Panthers. Everything I've seen has kind of been saying that it's going to be Bryce Young, but I do think that he is a better fit for the Panthers, and I think that's who I want them to take.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have weapons around them, whereas Houston at 2 doesn't. So whoever, I'm sure both guys are hoping to go one just out of purely hoping to win.
Yeah, and also you got to think Dave Tepper's their owner, and he's sick and tired of losing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're going to put more pieces around them, like to begin with, like right away.
Yeah,
like they'd be more willing to do a deal, as we saw. I mean, the Panthers moved heaven and earth to move up to 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
we've already seen too what they've done. I mean, you get Miles Sanders, DJ Chark, and Adam Thielen in free agency. Like, they are trying to win. Their defense last year was very solid, and they've gotten the pieces to be an elite offense this year, depending on whoever they take at 1, how successful they can be.
Yeah, and Frank Reich has had a history of like developing quarterbacks,
and he's also had a history of not taking small quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So Bryce Young might not really fit his replica of what he wants to do there. So Alec, you have the 2. I'm going to assume you're going Bryce Young.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of mocks with Bryce Young going 1, and then the Texans not taking quarterback. But I think if C.J. Stroud goes 1, they take Bryce Young. I think the Texans really like Bryce Young. I really think if they take Bryce Young, it could, give them like a Deshaun Watson type, like when they drafted. Remember when they drafted Deshaun Watson? He was like, supposed to be the future of the franchise. He won a couple playoff games for them. I think Bryce Young can do the same thing. D'Amico Ryans, I love as a coach. He's freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah.
He's going to make the defense play well. Damian Pierce, they also have the 12th pick.
Yeah.
So you can double dip on maybe offense to help Bryce Young out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I love Bryce Young at number 2 for the Texans.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that he might be the best quarterback in the draft. I think that, I don't know. I think it's going to be a toss up as far as who I think, but there's 2 quarterbacks that are NFL ready right now. And there's 2 quarterbacks that are not NFL ready, but can be great. And I think that's what we're going to kind of see is, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud right off the bat, and then Levis and Richardson later in the draft. But Young's going to be he's NFL ready right now.
Yeah, and I think with Young, like if he was even 6'1", there would be no debate.
Yeah, no,
I don't.
Absolutely no debate. So yes, he's smaller, but as we saw, he played in the SEC, and he was basically unstoppable. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see if he can translate that and stay healthy.
Yeah, he also has a very, very good pocket presence, which we saw at Alabama. So, like, if having a small quarterback's not bad. We saw it with Kyler Murray, you can kind of survive. Russell Wilson, you can survive, but you have to have really good pocket awareness and be able to scramble well.
Yeah.
And Bryce Young
can get down.
Mm-hmm, and Bryce Young can. I do think it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment to the defensive line size that you have to throw over, because you're not throwing against Tennessee's defensive line. You're throwing against some big boys. So I think that's going to might be a little bit of an adjustment, but I think he's definitely fit to do that.
Yeah.
I do have the number 3 with the Arizona Cardinals. I would not be surprised at all if they trade this. However, that just makes this mock draft so crazy if we include trades. So we're not going to do that. But I will take Will Anderson, the first defensive player off the board, and I think the best defensive player in this draft. Maybe Jalen Carter, but I think Will Anderson just put up like a historic season for an edge rusher at Alabama, and I think is going to cement himself into all pro teams very quickly in the NFL. He's got an elite balance of size, athleticism, and just quickness. And I think he's going to be very, very good for the Cardinals here.
Yeah. And then number 4, I'm going with one of those not quite NFL ready quarterbacks, but can be a great quarterback in the league, and that's Anthony Richardson. I think just his arm talent alone makes him dangerous in the NFL. Obviously, reading defenses will have to come. I saw a tweet somewhere that said someone asked, I forget who it was, but some analyst if they thought he would be a good quarterback in the NFL, and he responded with, "Have you ever seen a bad college quarterback be good in the NFL?"
Yeah.
So, I didn't think he was really that good, but everything around him, the arm talent and just his physical size, it's worth taking a chance on. And I think that's what the Colts will do it for.
Yeah, I think they're taking a chance on somebody, whether it's Richardson or Levis. I think everything's kind of been trending towards Richardson at 4. I think I know we talked about earlier, the Cardinals maybe trading their pick. We could see Richardson gone at 3. If somebody like Oakland.
I mean, that report came out yesterday about 6 teams have reached out to the Cardinals for the 3rd pick. And that's obviously to not trade up for Will Levis. That's a trade up for Anthony Richardson, I think. Will Levis, like, I think he still could be taken high, but I think that Will Levis's stock has definitely dipped since his pro day and since the combine. That's just like, I don't know if you guys feel that, like, that sense on Twitter and stuff like that and like reports. Have you guys seen Will Levis?
Yeah.
He is freaking jacked.
Yeah.
Like jacked. And like, I've like every tweet that I've read from everybody credible, like does not like that, which is like very interesting to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Anthony Richardson here at 4 is like perfect for the Colts.
Yep.
I think that their offense might need somebody that's a little more NFL ready. Like you have Jonathan Taylor and Pittman, who are a very good pair, running of offensive threats. Damn, excuse me, of offensive threats. But at the same time, JT will be what, in 5 years, he's probably gonna be like 28, 29, which is still a fine age. Pittman will be around the same age, and Richardson maybe is great. So I don't know. I think I think that there's no way Richardson's at 5.
Yeah, well, the appeal with Richardson is just he could be the best player on the field.
Yeah.
Like at his ceiling, he is a Josh Allen type, where like no matter the position, he's the best player on the field.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, it doesn't come around that often that somebody has that high of a ceiling, but also his floor is literally through the freaking like spot.
His floor is a bad XFL quarterback.
Yeah,
that's what
absolutely, 100%.
Like
his floor is like Jamarcus Russell. Like his bottom is like Jamarcus Russell bad.
Yeah. So well, I think that if Josh Allen didn't exist, Anthony Richardson would be like a mid first rounder at best.
Yeah.
But how well Josh Allen's done with just this elite athleticism and insane amount of size and sheer power at the quarterback position has made everybody just so thirsty for a quarterback that has the same assets, which Richardson does. He just doesn't have the quarterback assets of that.
Yeah, I also heard that Colin Cowherd was talking about how teams that have traded up for a quarterback that have had no stability, it has not worked out. Like Carson Wentz to the Eagles, it never really panned out. RG3 to the Redskins at the time, now Commanders, didn't really work out. And the people that did trade up that did have stability, like the Chiefs with Mahomes, like the Chiefs had made the playoffs the year before. So there aren't a lot of examples where the organization is badly run or poorly run, and then you trade up, and then that quarterback just saves you.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't happen very often. I'm not saying it couldn't, it's just the probability is low.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like what we were saying too, is that if you're not NFL ready, you should sit for a year.
Absolutely. I think I've been saying this for a while. Unless you're like a Burrow or a Lawrence or I think you should sit for a little bit.
I think Young and Stroud will be fine this year. Every other quarterback.
I just don't think they have a choice.
No, they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
But I think that even if you had a choice, I think that Young and Stroud are ready enough that you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it every time with rookie quarterbacks. You're going to make mistakes. Yeah. Like Trevor Lawrence's rookie season, he was not good.
No.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow's rookie season, he got injured. But I mean, before getting injured, he was turnover prone, right? But that's exactly what was going to come from a rookie. But now look at what they are, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to compare Richards to Joe Burrow right now, but
I don't blame you. Jared Goff's better than Joe Burrow. You said that. I heard you say that one time.
I never said that. You're putting words in my mouth there. I'm losing credibility by the second now.
Okay, so Anthony Richardson, good pick. He's going to go in the top 4,
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
that's 4-3,
Yeah.
2. I mean, we don't. Texans take Anthony Richardson. We don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, if they go with Bryce Young at 1,
yeah.
if,
You never
if
know.
the Texans
never
are like,
know.
screw it.
You never know.
Yep.
They got Case Keenum, just sitting behind Case Keenum. They're very similar
Or
in in their body types.
Case
But-
Keenum's faster, I think.
yeah. Hey, Case Keenum won a playoff game.
It's more
So did
more than
Tim
my.
Tebow. So did Tim
Yeah,
Tebow.
It's more.
Let's not get too carried
Yeah,
away.
that's fair.
Okay, so at 5, Seahawks, I have Tyree Wilson. Love Tyree Wilson. He's huge too. Really long arms, really good off the edge. I really, 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 really wanted to go to a player that actually I picked later, but Jalen Carter.
Mhm.
But I think Tyree Wilson and I think Pete Carroll will just fall in love with this dude.
Yeah.
Just an edge rusher, really young. He can kind of mold him. They need edge rusher too, so I like that Tyree Wilson to the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm pissed about it because I want Detroit to end up with Tyree Wilson at 6. Which obviously I'll get into the 6th pick later. But 7'2" wingspan and is 6'7", like 280, I think.
Athletic, though.
And athletic.
Yeah.
This is someone that can play defensive end on 1st and 2nd down and defensive tackle on 3rd and long. Like it's an elite, and like if you're talking about a run stopping defensive end, perfect guy. Like he's phenomenal, and he is just stupid big. Like you could have a terrible pass rush, and he could be the best player on the field because he could have eight pass block or passes blocked. Yeah, pass deflections. That's the word. Pass deflections in a game.
Mhm.
Like you can't throw a slant to his side.
Yeah, he would be the Baker killer. Baker has so many. You ever watch Baker play? He throws so many balls right into or the Herbert. Like Herbert
Burrow does it too.
Yeah, Herbert literally gets like Herbert had the most balls batted last year, which is hilarious because he's 6'6". But like it's like the same thing. Like Tyree Wilson would literally have like 3 in one game.
Yeah, no, like minimum.
Yeah,
like
minimum.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's his like low.
His
that he's probably
his
having.
average is no. I hope that Detroit ends up with him at 6, but I will go ahead and get into Detroit's pick here at 6. I have them going with Christian Gonzalez. I know previously I had if we would have done this 2 days ago, I probably would have been taking Jalen Carter here.
Yeah.
But the trade to sending Okudah to Atlanta has convinced me that Detroit is going to draft a corner at 6. Maybe they feel they can get one at 18. That's going to be fine.
Yeah.
If they've fallen in love with like Deontay Banks or Joey Porter Jr., maybe that's who they're thinking. I think Gonzalez is the best corner in the draft, though. Maybe Witherspoon, which I know we get into here shortly as well. But they're both great. They're both great corners. I think that's tier 1. Tier 2 is then Porter is I think the best in the tier 2. But I would love Tyree Wilson for Detroit, but I'm going to take Christian Gonzalez here out of Oregon. The only thing I'm a little bit concerned about is his. He really only had one breakout season. Like he like 2 years ago, he was pretty much non-existent. This past year, he's great. He does have Jalen Ramsey type body and like in athleticism. He's long, he's tall, and he's fast. You can't teach that, but that's what I have here. You have 8, right?
I do.
Or 7.
7. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then going back on the Lions pick, I think what was it 3 weeks ago that all the stuff with Jalen Carter broke about all that, and then he weighed in on his pro day. He was like 20 pounds overweight, and he's just refusing to meet with teams. That's just not a guy that Dan Campbell wants, I don't think.
Mm-mm.
And unless Dan Campbell thinks he can get light a fire underneath him, which if any coach can, it will be Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think especially with trading, I think you go and you have to get the best corner on the board.
Yeah, I did see something that it's like 2 weeks ago where some press they're at some like press conference and they asked Dan Campbell about Jalen Carter. He said, "Yeah, we talked to some of his teammates at his pro day, and we were told some stories that were interesting."
Yeah.
And that's all he said. And they said, "Good or bad?" And he said, "Interesting is all I'm gonna say," which means bad.
Yeah,
you know,
bad. Yeah,
if it was good, you'd be like, "Oh, it was positive. We heard some stuff about his work ethic."
Mhm.
You would say stuff that you like to hear.
He also, now to be fair, it could have been good, but he also could have been bluffing. So the Seahawks
Right,
don't take him
right,
alive.
right.
Yeah.
So,
But I am 100% convinced that if Detroit takes him, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell see something that
Yeah.
they know they can
Well-
that he can
Yeah.
like put away this ego, put away this I'm better than everyone else. I don't need to, I don't need to deal with everything else.
Yeah. Well, like when push comes to shove, like, I mean, let's just be honest. He's the highest rated prospect in this draft class. Like consensus, like big board, like a lot of people, like non Bryce Young.
Mhm.
A lot of people have Jalen Carter, like from a pure talent perspective.
Well, before this stuff came
Yeah.
out that he was doing that
Yeah.
with like before the criminal
Yeah.
record came out, it was like
Number one.
teams might be trading up to take him
Yeah.
number one.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So,
yeah.
all right, but yeah, getting into the 7th pick, the Raiders have that pick. I have them taking Devin Witherspoon, the cornerback out of Illinois. I think if Gonzalez is gone, I think he's the next best corner. I think that's a position of need for the Raiders. They don't need a quarterback. Sign Jimmy. So I don't see them like trading up or taking Will Levis or anything at this spot. I think cornerback is the biggest position of need for them, and I think they try to get a guy to fill that void for them.
Yeah, I think Witherspoon might be the best coverage corner in the draft, but I think Gonzalez is the better playmaker. Gonzalez will get your picks. He'll break up a play in the backfield. He'll make a big open field tackle. But Witherspoon is going to have four pass breakups.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think like Gonzalez, I know what you're trying to say. Like but I don't know how to put it in words. Like Witherspoon will be a lockdown corner. He will be locked down. But you're right. Gonzalez, like they're both really close.
It is the Sauce Gardner against
Tyreek Woolen.
Woolen.
Yeah, like Gonzalez is Tyreek Woolen. I
Yeah,
feel like.
yeah, Tyreek
But
Woolen.
Witherspoon is like, yeah, big. He's big.
Yeah.
He's long too.
Mhm.
But he's not going to pick off 6 balls a year.
Mhm.
He could, because he's locking them up. They won't be open.
Because you're not throwing to a covered
You're
receiver.
literally like, I think Witherspoon could go like, if you put him on an island, great.
Mhm.
Like he doesn't need help over the top.
Yeah.
And he can press. You know what I mean? He's big enough. He's not going to get bullied.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, now this is something too that could be something to monitor, is that if we had Detroit and Oakland or Vegas, sorry, Oakland, Detroit and Vegas both going cornerback. So Kirby Joseph, Detroit safety, played with Witherspoon. So at Illinois, so maybe there's some sort of chemistry that Brad Holmes sees and says, look, if my free safety and my corner are on the same exact side, they're on the same exact page because they played together 2 years ago, and there's already some elite chemistry, maybe that's something they go with.
Like the Joe Burrow and then Jamar Chase next year.
Yeah.
Just get him his weapons and who he's kind of familiar with. So
Yeah, except Witherspoon and Joseph are probably a little better. I'm just kidding. Disclaimer, I'm just kidding. But no, I think Witherspoon to Vegas is a great pick. And you are now at 8, sir, on the clock.
8. So I'd really love the NFL to just stick it to Drew Rosenhaus, who is Jalen Carter's agent, and Jalen Carter just not draft from the top 10. But we're going to stop the charade here. We're going to have the Falcons take Jalen Carter at 8. Let's be honest. The Falcons need a lot of help.
Falcons will be stoked if Carter.
Yeah, if you could get Jalen Carter at 8, that's great. The only problem I see with this, I picked Jalen Carter with the Falcons pick because I think just from a value standpoint, it's unbelievable.
yeah, you have to.
You have to take him. But the problem is, do we really think Arthur Smith has a strong enough personality to control Jalen Carter?
Yeah.
No.
And
do you really think the culture in Atlanta is good enough to stop Jalen Carter from going with lemon pepper Lou out on a Friday and a Saturday? It's not going to happen.
That's what I was gonna say. Is name 2 cities that you don't want somebody like Jalen Carter to
Miami,
always be around.
LA, Vegas, and Atlanta. Those are the 4.
Detroit's not in there. Detroit's not in there.
Well, I'd love Jalen Carter in Cincy. He would be right at home.
Yeah, they would have nothing to do. Just ask Pat Ochocinco.
But I really think like Jalen Carter at 8 would be the Falcons be stoked.
Yeah, you're getting potentially the best player in the draft at 8. Absolutely.
Yeah. And they have their quarterback of the future already, so they need to.
Yeah.
Like Des Brenner.
I know. I was waiting for the joke, but
no, it was a joke.
Yeah. Okay. Good. But I mean, that is something that we could see him going with Levis, and I would not be surprised at all if they are one of the 6 teams calling Atlanta.
So here's my thing. I don't want to like you guys to think about this, and just ask you guys what you think. There will be teams next year that try to tank for Drake May and Caleb Williams. Do you think that
Houston?
Houston just passes on a quarterback because they know they will be awful next year and
So,
get one of those.
so you think you go like
a Will Anderson,
like Anderson and Smith and Jigba?
Smith and Jigba. You'll wait a year. You say, okay, Case Keenum, this is your team to
Yep.
start, or Davis Mills. Whoever.
Davis Mills is wonderful. So.
Yeah, I mean Davis Mills got you this pick to begin with. So,
Yeah.
like, I mean to get in the top 2 or whatever. You know what I mean?
Davis Mills is a franchise legend. If he puts up an 0-17 season next year and allows them to draft Caleb Williams,
Absolutely.
They would,
It's like
they
Andy
would
Dalton-
keep him as the backup quarterback.
Andy
forever.
Dalton's
he's gonna have a statue. He's gonna have a statue outside their
Nick Foles
stadium.
type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So who's got 9?
I do. I have 9 with the Chicago Bears, I believe. Let me double check. But yes, with the Chicago Bears, I have Peter Skoronski, the offensive tackle out of Northwestern. I think the Bears are for sure going offensive tackle. There's 2 ways they could go: is either Skoronski out of Northwestern or Johnson Jr., Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State. I think Skoronski is just the best offensive tackle in the draft. I think that's pretty much consensus. But Johnson is consensus too. You know, it's not. I think this is kind of similar to the quarterback with Stroud Young is tier 1, and there's a big drop off. I think the tackles is very similar. But Chicago's making moves. I mean, you have your franchise quarterback in Justin Fields.
Yep.
You have made some other big moves that you expect to compete soon, right?
Yeah.
The trade back, you got a ton of pieces. You get DJ Moore out of it. Like Chicago is going to compete in 2 years. But this year, maybe they're not quite there. However, adding an a huge offensive line piece in Skoronski, I think is the perfect way to go here for them.
Yeah, I also think that if Justin Fields takes that step this year, it has to be from better O-line play because the receivers,
better weapons.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the better weapons has already been taken care of because you're going to get DJ Moore.
No, that's what I'm saying. Just
absolutely.
His stats this year.
100%
might reflect.
If he's back, if he has less than 3,000 passing yards this year, it is no one else's fault. If they take Skoronski or Johnson Jr. or whatever, there's nobody else's fault but him.
Do you know that the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer?
How many golf have last year? Like 3,900,
3,700. The Bears franchise have never had one. I posted a TikTok about this, which if you haven't checked out the TikTok, go check it out.
Were you saying the Lions or the Bears?
The Bears.
Oh, I thought you said the Lions.
No.
The Bears.
Okay.
No, yeah, just
It's
for 5K a year.
Yeah, that's what I
Throw
thought,
for 70 passes a game.
Yeah.
No, the Bear. There's been like, I don't know, it's been done like 300 to maybe 250 times.
Bears have never had one
in
Not a single one
NFL
by the
history.
Rex Grossman didn't get one.
Dude, the closest one was Rex Grossman.
I think
Closest one was Cutler
Okay.
at like 3,600 one time, and then some other dude I can't think of off the top of my head threw for
I'm
like
gonna be honest with you,
3,500.
I just don't see Justin Fields getting a 4K.
Oh no, well he runs too much for it.
Yeah.
But all right, so Cam, you are on the clock at 10.
Eagles.
Yep.
So the Eagles have number 10. And I see them going to the defense side of the ball. They lost a couple pieces in free agency and just kind of not signing guys. But the main weakness in that defense is probably outside linebacker. They could also use edge rushers, but I think that Nolan Smith out of Georgia is probably the best outside linebacker in the draft. So I think that he's going to be an Eagle next year.
This is a true toss-up pick. I think everything that we've had so far has been kind of scripted, right?
Yeah.
This is like literally you could go defensive back if you wanted to, and if Witherspoon or Gonzalez is there, you're probably going to. You could go. You could go with Nolan Smith. You could go with Lucas Van Ness.
This starts.
You could go with
starts the Bijan range.
You could just I was just gonna say you could go with Bijan because you lose Miles Sanders. This is a true toss-up. I think Nolan Smith is a good pick though. If you're looking for an outside linebacker, like you said, best one in the draft.
Yeah, this is crazy. And I think Nolan Smith, he could either go 10 or he could go 28.
No.
You're not Bengals. Well, I guess maybe. But yeah, so I mean, his range is unbelievable. I think the guys in this range, a lot of stuff that I've been seeing, like Daniel Jeremiah that I follow, stuff like that, they think like 10 to 40 is like really close.
Yeah.
But like the top 10 are like pretty solidified.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So I love that pick.
Yeah, no, I do too. Nolan Smith was going to be great wherever he goes. If you get him outside of the top 15, that's kind of like what we were saying earlier with the Carter 8 value. That's that type of value.
Yeah, that's a steal.
Yeah.
So 11 Titans. I had this pick. I think they go tackle. Losing Taylor Lewan. They need a left tackle.
Not that they really ever had him the past 5 years.
Yeah, he's a Michigan guy, so I can't give him too much praise. But Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State. He has a really, really good athletic profile for a tackle. I think he could be a franchise cornerstone left tackle. And he could also probably play right tackle, but they'll draft him to play left tackle, and I think that's what they go with here. The Ohio State connection, I don't really know if that matters in the NFL, but Vrabel, Ohio State, Paris Johnson Jr., Ohio State, and he looked really good last year. They need a tackle. Now, the Titans are also a team that I think could trade up to number 3 to get Anthony Richardson. So, who knows?
Yeah,
I think they probably give Malik Willis another year.
I think so
I think
too,
I probably drafted one last year.
Yeah.
And just
because they won't be bad enough to tank for Drake May or Caleb Williams.
I think that would be a trade up next year more so than this year.
Okay.
I could see them, but I mean, I think
so
they
too.
give
I think
Malik
you're right.
Willis a full year. You give him a left tackle. Hopefully later in the draft, you give him a single wide receiver.
Hey, Treylon Burks, dude. Treylon Burks.
But yeah, give him maybe 1 or 2 offensive weapons.
Khalif Raymond. Khalif Raymond.
Khalif Raymond.
He was actually decent for the
He actually was
linebacker.
for a couple games.
Yeah, no, he actually was decent.
But yeah, I see them. I think they probably go tackle if they don't go wide receiver.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see him going receiver too.
You went with tackle out of Ohio State. I'm going to go receiver here, and I'm going to stay at Ohio State. I have 12 with the Houston Texans, and I'm going to take Jackson Smith and Jigba. There's several, wide receivers you can take here. I think Smith and Jigba is the best one in the draft.
All around.
Yeah, I think all around he's the best one. But, certain needs are like certain teams would take, Johnston as the first one because they needed a vertical threat.
Yeah.
Or like Jalen Hyatt could make a case if you need a vertical threat again. So Smith and Jigba is a great slot guy. He's going to get open all the time. He gives me Amon-Ra St. Brown type of vibes. And I think he's going to be great for Houston. And if they pair, if they end up with Stroud at 2, you could have the Stroud, Smith, and Jigba, which we all know is lethal. So I have Smith and Jigba going at 12 here.
Yep. So that goes to me at 13 with the Jets. I think the Jets need O-line help. I'm going to go with Broderick Jones out of Georgia. Another just huge dude. And I think that the Jets can't really miss with this pick. Hopefully their running backs are healthy next year and they can give them some better holes to run through with the tackle. And we'll see how good the Jets can be if Aaron Rodgers ever decides to accept that trade to go there. So
yeah,
I think that would be
really
great
like
for
that.
Rodgers.
I really like that. Because I mean, they drafted, they've drafted O-line in the past couple of years. It hasn't really worked out. So I think if they find a guy, bring Aaron Rodgers in, it would look great.
Yep, absolutely. I agree. You have 14 now with the Pats.
This was a tough one for me. As you know, I kind of waited on this one a little bit, just to see like what you guys would do because I wasn't really sure from 14 to 30. I wanted you guys to go first just to see like what the heck I was thinking about doing. So I took Lucas Van Ness here from Iowa. He's a D end. He graded out really well, PFF grade. Athletic profile really good. He's more of like a 3-4 D end. He's not like a pure edge rusher. He's not like a Tyree Wilson or a Will Anderson. He's really good in the run. I think he really fits the Patriots scheme here. I would love the Patriots to take Joey Porter Jr., Deontay Banks.
Yeah.
But they ruin corners when they draft him high, and I love those two players. I want them to do really well. So I took Lucas Van Ness here with the 14th pick.
Yeah, no, I think that whoever gets Van Ness is going to be happy because he's the exact Bill Belichick player. Like Iowa is an exact program that Belichick would just praise. Like, I don't know. Iowa's just a program that's very similar to how Belichick runs.
And Iowa last year, of the top defenses in all of college football, and he was their best player. So I think you can't really miss taking him at wherever you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So I am on the clock now at 15 with the Packers pick, and holy needs does this team have?
Yeah.
Rodgers is still there. He's not going to be, and pretty much everybody knows that. But I'm going to go with Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame. I think he's the best tight end in the class if you're looking for a receiving threat.
Yeah.
I think for all-around tight end, Darnell Washington's your best one, but he's not going until later. But I think that Mayer is going to be the first tight end off the board. I wanted to, I thought about going Kincaid maybe. Kincaid. But I do think that Mayer is going to be the best one, or going to be the first one. I think he is the best tight end as well. He was just absolutely wonderful all his entire career at Notre Dame. So I think that's where I have him going, and to settle the Packers tight end needs, and they have a lot of other needs as well.
Yeah, speaking of teams with lots of needs, I have the Commanders now at 17. I debated on this one for a long time just because I didn't know what they would do or where they would go. And I settled on Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State, cornerback. I just think that anyone they take, because they don't need Bijan because they just drafted the
Not yeah, I know Brian Robinson.
last year, so they don't need a running back. I could see him going wide receiver with either like Zay Jones or Quentin Johnson. But I think Joey Porter is a safe pick. It already helps a pretty good defense get just a little bit better.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good pick there as well. I think Joey Porter, like we said earlier, he's the best player in that tier, that second tier of corners, and I think this is exactly where we're going to see that second tier of corners start to get tapped into.
Yeah.
If Detroit goes defensive line at 6, at 18, it will most definitely be a DB, which will be whoever best left. The Porter, the Banks. So
Emmanuel Forbes, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
He might be a little too high for him. But
yeah, well, I wouldn't even mind like a Brian Branch, dude, because he plays everywhere.
Yeah.
But I think, but him and Forbes, I think that's a little too high at 18 for both.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yep.
Who are you going with at 17 here?
Yeah, so Steelers, I think they take a corner.
Mhm.
I think they take a DB. So I had them taking Deontay Banks. There's this Twitter account that I follow, and it talks about, it's not like raw athletic score, it's like a little different than that. But he is like the second best athletic score for a cornerback in the last 20 years out of like 3,000 or 2,000, some insane amount of cornerbacks that have tested athletically with height, hand size, vertical jump, all that stuff. Yeah, he's number 2.
Who's one? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
It might have been somebody from last year. But it was they were drafted like a little lower.
Okay.
It was just like an athletic freak that probably went like the 6th, 5th round last year. But
Probably Brian Cook.
yeah, so I think Deontay Banks, really awesome athletically. He's big enough. Sadly, I have the Steelers taking him because I mean he could be really good. And like are my Bengals for years.
And they need it, especially with Ravens getting Odell.
Yeah.
Odell immediately is their wide receiver 1.
I think one of us would be their wide receiver 1 if we got some more today. So, but
then Jamar and T. Higgins. And then even with the Browns, you have Amari Cooper, who's
definitely not bad.
Really good wide receiver still. So you definitely need a cornerback 1 in that division, and
they lost theirs.
And they did. Yeah.
Cam Sutton. Detroit came in and snagged him. So yeah, you definitely need it. So
yep.
Who do you have your lines taken?
At 18, I have the Aaron Donald comp in Kalijah Kancey. Now, I've seen a lot of hype around him, and I do think that he is a little bit overhyped. However, he is extremely fast with really, really, really fast hands at the defensive tackle position. And to weigh that much, I think he's like upwards of 300, like getting close. And to be that quick, it's just a very similar build to Aaron Donald when he was coming out of Pittsburgh, by the way. And who was the guy that, really vouched for Aaron Donald to be drafted to the Rams? Brad Holmes, who was their director of scouting at the time. So I think there's a little bit of a connection to, Brad Holmes to athletic defensive tackles out of Pitt in that. Now, again, if you go Tyree Wilson at 6, you're not going Kalijah Kancey. If you go Carter at 6, you're not taking Kalijah Kancey. And maybe Detroit says, look, we think this is too high for Kancey. If he's there at 42, we'll take him. But at 18, we're not going to overpay for that, and we're going to take somebody else. But I really don't know, looking at what's left on the board here and how we've had this go, like maybe you want to go get like a Keely Ringo, or like a Brian Branch, but I think you're overpaying for all of those guys. I think this is kind of in a situation that's difficult, and I think that Kalijah Kancey is probably the best fit for what they need yet.
Yeah, they need interior D line. So I mean, he would fill in. I mean, he'd start immediately. He would start immediately. So you'd have 2, starting rookies, high first round rookies under defense. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
like for them at this point. So Cam, what do you think about the Bucks? 19. This is kind of a toss up right here. Anything could happen.
We continuously get into teams that need that have lots of needs.
Yeah.
For the Bucks, I don't have them taking a real flashy pick. Last year their offensive line was terrible, and Tom Brady got hit a lot. So I have them taking an offensive tackle to kind of pair with Tristan Wirfs. So I have them taking Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. I think Tennessee had a really good year. And Hendon Hooker had to have time to throw those 75-yard passes to
Hyatt and Tillman.
Hyatt down the sideline. So obviously he was able to give him some time in the SEC. I really have no idea where they're going with this pick. I think Darnell Wright is kind of a safe pick.
Mhm.
And then just to kind of keep building for your future. But yeah,
I have a question for you with this pick. So they take Darnell Wright. Who plays left tackle? Darnell Wright, or do they move Tristan Wirfs to left tackle? Because they cut Donovan Smith, which was like 3 years too late. But
Yeah.
who do you think plays left tackle? Who do you guys think?
I don't know. I don't know how well.
Like
I don't know
I
how
was
well
looking at
Darnell
this.
Wright-
Darnell Wright played right tackle at the Senior Bowl and was
Mhm.
like elite in
Really?
1 week. But I would probably just have him play left tackle.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I would.
that would
You
just
just want good football players on your team. It's not really about, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I
think
would.
it's a toss up.
I would weigh him, and I also think that you probably give Wirfs his choice.
Yeah.
You know,
I
do
agree.
do you want to play right tackle? Do you want to play left tackle? And whatever he says, you're gonna be like, yes, sir. Like,
yes, sir. Yeah,
you
I
have
mean,
to be.
Yeah, Worst would be the type of guy I think that would accept the challenge and move to left tackle.
Has he got paid yet?
I don't know. If not,
He's got one.
if not, it's
One
due.
more year till he gets paid?
I think 1 or 2
It's
more
due, bro.
years.
He's
It's
due,
good-
and
it's
he's
good,
gonna
yeah.
get
It's
he's
good.
gonna
Get
he's gonna get that Brinks track.
Yeah. But
No,
yeah,
I
I
love
think
the
you
pick.
can't really go wrong with either one of them
I
at
agree.
left tackle.
I
So
agree.
It's,
I agree.
it's a like you said, it's a very safe pick.
I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So 20 Seahawks. The fall has finally stopped for I was going to say a good SEC quarterback, but I would need to say he was good in the SEC.
an SEC quarterback. you could say.
And SEC quarterback, Will Levis, the bodybuilder.
2 years ago, he was good.
He was good.
And last year, he had.
He
nothing.
wasn't bad. I agree. They lost a lot of.
Last year, they had no
Yep.
receivers, no running backs, no offensive line. It was the Will Levis, like, dude, can you do everything?
Yeah.
And you can't. So,
Well, the thing is, like, everybody hates on Will Levis. I don't mind Will Levis at all.
Mhm.
Like, I think he could be pretty good.
Mhm.
He has the arm, he has the body, he's decently athletic. And I really think that the Seahawks, having all these teams 2 first-round picks, can afford to take a risk on one of them.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, if one of them hits, people are going to remember, oh my gosh, you drafted Tyree Wilson at 5. Oh my gosh, and then like, oh, Will Levis never panned out, but we got Tyree Wilson that year. You know what I mean? So having Will Levis isn't NFL ready, like we said. Seahawks have Geno Smith. They just signed him to an extension. He gets to sit behind Geno Smith, who's like a real NFL veteran, kind of learn the NFL, learn coverages, stuff like that. I think it could be a pretty good fit.
And Gino, I think, would be able to help him with being a backup quarterback.
Yeah, he just got
for
his
the
money.
first couple of years.
He just got, so it's not like he would think that it wouldn't, like, if it was before last year, Geno Smith, I think, would have definitely felt like, like
he's taking my job.
threatened.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Also, I think that Geno Smith is a very good quarterback to have to teach discipline to the quarterback.
Absolutely.
Geno Smith is a very good. I mean, we see it all the time. Very good completion rate. Very good at limiting interceptions, typically.
Yeah.
And so, Will Levis, that's really the one thing for him, right? You have elite arm strength. You're athletic. Can you make good decisions? Geno Smith is one of the best quarterbacks in the league at making good decisions outside of Jared Goff. But you really can't argue that one.
No,
But that's-
I did. No,
there's-
and Joe Burrow, though. I got to throw Joe Burrow. Every time you throw in Jared Goff, I got to throw Joe Burrow.
Hey, I
No, I agree
that is
with you.
one that was
I
one
agree.
of the few aspects Jared Goff is better than Joe Burrow at is
I agree.
decision making.
Damn, go ahead.
The
I don't know.
interceptions would say so.
Well,
Yeah,
okay,
a lot
but
of
if you- okay, to
he
be fair.
threw like 3 interceptions that either got batted down at the
Oh,
line
more,
or caught
more.
at the line.
It's because I took the under in Joe Burrow interceptions.
yeah,
and,
that's your fault.
He had 4 week 1, and 3 of them were batted down
Yeah.
passes. And then one on the year, TJ Watt literally jumped up and caught it
and caught it.
one-handed.
Yep.
So I do agree. Stats, I agree.
That's one of the. I can't think of another aspect. You also got to think that you're throwing to Jamar Chase and T Higgins instead of Amon St. Brown and DJ Chark. But all right, we'll get off this. We're off this.
Okay. So,
21
yeah,
overall.
21.
21st. We have the Los Angeles Chargers. They also have a decent amount of needs and a lot of stuff that's kind of just tossed up, right?
Yeah.
Is Austin Eckler even going to be there next year? Who knows, right?
Mhm.
I kind of doubt it, but at the same time, I don't know. What we saw last year was really, really bad. Was Herbert a lot of times had nobody to throw to because Keenan Allen cannot stay healthy. If you scrape his arm, he's going to be out for 6 weeks. They're hoping his hamstring is healthy by the start of the 2025 season, but they haven't heard yet. And Mike Williams is a great receiver, but you can't just have Mike Williams, and even he battles through injuries a lot. So I'm going with a wide receiver here. I know I went with one earlier. There's really only 2 guys I want here. I'm not taking Quentin Johnston because he's the exact same player as Mike Williams. It is either Jordan Addison out of USC or Zay Flowers out of Boston College. I'm going Jordan Addison out of USC. He was blessed with significantly better quarterback play than Zay Flowers was, and I think Zay Flowers might be a better route runner. I think Addison might just have a little bit better hands. And I do think that Addison is going to fit into this role. I think either wide receiver fits into this offense really well. Kind of that Joshua Palmer type.
Yeah, I think that any of the receivers that would be lucky enough to go to the Chargers would be stoked.
Yeah.
Because they would come in right away and be the 3, immediately.
Yeah, you're going to be the 3, and you're on an offense that's really good, and you're on a team that competes. This team on this defense on paper is like one of the best defenses in the league, on paper.
Yeah,
they still can't stop the run. It makes no
sense. It doesn't. But on paper, you don't look at your defensive depth chart and we need to add somebody. Yeah. We need to add an edge rusher.
Yeah,
you guys
don't need anything.
You guys have both Bosa and Mac, and you don't need to add an edge rusher.
Yeah.
But I do think they need to add a wide receiver. That's where I go with at 21. Cam, or are you going to 22?
Yeah. At 21, I do like the Jordan Addison pick. Keenan Allen will play slot for them. And whoever does take Zay Jones, that's the position he'll play. He'll be a slot receiver. And speaking of that, at 22, I do have the Ravens taking Zay Flowers, the wide receiver out of Boston College. And watching his highlights, his ability to get open and kind of stay in open spacing is amazing. He's one of the best. He might be the best route runner out of the wide receivers in this draft. And I think that the Ravens obviously need wide receiver help. Obviously, we want to try to get Lamar happy and stay because Lamar is a great quarterback. They just got Odell, so that would be 2 starting wide receivers that would have been better than any of your receivers you were throwing out there.
All season last year.
Yeah. You have a great tight end still. Running back play is great. I think the wide receiver is the only position they're really lacking. I think if they can kind of lock that up, and if Zay Flowers is as good as
hopefully better than Zay Jones.
Hopefully better than Zay Jones, yeah. But I think the Ravens would be I don't think they can go wrong with the wide receiver that they pick. I just think Zay Jones will be best for that team. And kind of staying open while Lamar kind of runs around and scrambles.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that if you want to bring Lamar back, you have to draft a wide receiver no matter who it is.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's not your guy. You have to draft one just to say we're committed to you.
Yeah, it was like paying OBJ 15 to 18. I mean, 18 mil with the incentives. Like OBJ is not worth 15 mil for 1 year.
It's like he was worth half that.
But you have to. I mean, you had to try to get Lamar back.
Yeah, no, you do have to.
Okay, so I have Vikings at 23. This is kind of a hot take, kind of a not hot take. Mock drafts are all over the place on Emmanuel Forbes, but I have the Vikings taking Emmanuel Forbes. He's a cornerback from Mississippi State, and he's 6 foot, so he's tall enough, but he weighs 160, which is really light.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really light. I think if he weighed 185, 190, he'd go sooner. But his coverage skills are unbelievable. His ball hawking skills are really good. And you can never have enough corners.
No.
Especially if you have lockdown corners in the NFC North. I mean, if you're just thinking about it, if you play the Bears and have shutdown corners, how in the world? I mean, you're going to lock down the Bears offense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you have shutdown corners, you're going to stop Jordan Love. The only problem you'd have was the line. So I think, Vikings take a corner here. I think it's Emmanuel Forbes.
Yeah, no, I like it too. I think that so I have the next pick at 24, and I am going with corner as well to the Jaguars. And so I think that if Forbes was there, I would have a really tough decision to make between Keely Ringo and Emmanuel Forbes. However, I do have an easy one because you took Forbes. So I'm going to take Keely Ringo at 24 to Jaguars. They don't have a whole lot of needs, to be honest. Quarterback position settled, running back position settled, wide receiver position settled. We have Calvin Ridley coming back this year now.
Evan Ingram looked really good.
Evan Ingram looked really good. Yeah, and I mean, so you have a great offense. Maybe you could use an offensive lineman, but I think you're fine there. Defense, you may have a couple of needs maybe, but I think that Keely Ringo is a freak athlete. I know that he's a freak athlete, and I think that he can learn well enough at the NFL level.
Yeah.
And if he can learn well enough, this is a Jalen Ramsey type upside.
Yeah. Keely Ringo was supposed to be a top 25 pick 2 months ago.
Yeah, 2 months ago he's supposed to be top 15.
Yeah, he was supposed to be you're right. No, top 15, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know why he's fallen so much. I've tried to read into it. I don't really know. Do you guys know?
I have no idea.
I think a lot of it does have to do with his play against Ohio State.
Okay.
He got torched.
Oh no, I know. I think it's just weird because it was so consensus, and then it was just oh yeah, by the way, we think you're the 50th best player now. It's just it's a weird drop.
Yeah.
For one game of sample size, but I don't know.
He's a freak athlete, that's for sure though.
Yeah.
So you have 25 now?
I do. I have 25 with the Giants. Keep getting all these teams. This team, another team that needs a wide receiver. I think best one left is going to be Quentin Johnson out of TCU. I think it just gives Daniel Jones a deep threat down the field. I think that can open up the run game a little bit more. And I think the Giants don't really have a whole lot of needs outside of wide receivers. So hopefully they can take Quentin Johnson, and hopefully he's a stud for him.
Yeah. He looked really, really bad against Georgia. Except the one catch.
Quentin Johnson is the most. I have no idea what to think of him.
Yeah.
Because he's either a god, rack, run after catch, or he's
just non-existent.
Yeah, the Georgia game, I don't think it's his fault.
No, I don't.
Because who else were they going to throw it to?
And Max Duggan was getting hit every 4 seconds.
Yeah.
If he had 3 seconds in the pocket, that was a phenomenal play.
Yeah. Okay, so the Bijan Robinson train is ending here as well. The Cowboys don't need a running back at all, I don't think, because they have Tony Pollard. I think if they just re-signed Tony Pollard, they'd be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they should spend a first-round pick on a running back, but I think Bijan Robinson is too big of a name in Texas, and Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones. I think if Bijan Robinson's there, I think they take him. And I think Bijan Robinson could be the best player in this draft. Early on, just because of his NFL readiness. He could take over that backfield immediately, even with Tony Pollard there. He's that good.
Yeah. The Tony Pollard, is he franchise tagged?
He's franchise tagged, yeah.
Okay, so he did sign it though?
He did sign the tender, yeah.
Okay, so you could even take him and just say, hey, Tony Pollard.
Last year.
We don't want to spend the money on you. We have a rookie guy. We can pay very little for the next 4 years.
Yeah, they could treat this like a Zeke thing.
Yeah.
Where he's just their bell cow for 4, pick up the 5th-year option, and then just say, hey, if it's if his body wears down, it is what it is. It's a late first. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true. I think that's a good pick. I think if he's still there for them, I think it would be hard for them to pass. They don't really need a whole lot else.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of needs that, and they don't really need a running back. But
yeah,
the brand name is big enough. Yeah,
yeah.
And running back is a very easy position to get injured at.
Oh, absolutely.
Very easy. And if Zeke's gone, if Pollard goes down, they have nobody.
Yeah.
So
know who else would be next on the depth chart.
Right. So it's definitely a position that if you can have a rookie that can, and even if Pollard doesn't go down, just to be able to only give Pollard 17 carries instead of 28 in a game.
Oh, absolutely. We saw how well last year where Zeke was. Let's be honest. Zeke is washed, and he had 15 rushing touchdowns. It was a lot of rushing touchdowns in the last 2 years. because he's like, they just use running back so well.
Yeah,
A
absolutely.
team that I can see kind of in that same position as the Cowboys is kind of like the Lions. You have
You have Swift and Montgomery now.
oh, that's
They
right. I
did- they
forgot
did-
they
they
got
did
I,
Montgomery,
never mind. Yeah.
Before Montgomery,
Before
I
Montgomery,
completely
though.
agree, though.
Yeah, it was kind of that same spot, but yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot they got Montgomery. That's my bad.
No, you're good. So I have now the 27 with the Bills. This team does not have a lot of needs, but they do have a couple bad ones. I think the offensive guard position is one that they really need. Josh Allen is wonderful, absolutely wonderful, but you need to protect him because his decision making when he's pressured is not that great, and we've seen that. So if you can protect him and he has time to make decisions, he's absolutely wonderful and an MVP candidate. But when he doesn't have time, he's bad. So I have Osiris Torrance here out of Florida. I think he's the best offensive guard in the draft. If you're the Bills, you really need that interior offensive lineman. If you can get the best interior offensive lineman at 27, I think they're stoked here. They could go wide receiver, but I don't think with how this has gone, there's none there that I think are worth it. So
Yep.
I think that this is where they go here.
I love this pick. I would love the Bengals to get him for him to fall to 28. Yeah, I think they need offensive guard. I think this is just an unreal pick.
Yeah. And then with
That's
him
fine.
not there, I do have the 28th pick with the Bengals. And then I have them taking Brian Branch out of Alabama. They need every single DB position, and to get a guy that can play all of those positions, he can fill holes wherever you need him. I think he's probably the best all-around DB left, and I think that the Bengals could really use that position a lot.
Yeah,
He's just a playmaker. He is a blow up a run in the backfield off of a blitz. He is a blow up a bubble screen. He's a get an interception running cover 2. Like he is a any position that you need me, I'm just gonna make a big play. And I think this is a great value here at 28.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think a lot of these teams at the end, there are no needs basically for there are no, oh my gosh, we need a starter for the Bills, Bengals, Eagles, or Chiefs. Like they're not like, oh my gosh, we need an immediate impact starter. Like those are all filled. So I think that's a great
I
pick.
think the Chiefs need a quarterback.
Probably a tight end too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have 29. So the Saints, this is a team at the end that does have a lot, kind of a lot of needs, but they love their tight ends. Dalton Kincaid, he was just cleared today for football activity by a doctor. So, I mean, that can mean anything. I mean, some random doctor could just say, hey, you're great, man. Just boost your draft stock. But I actually do believe that he's actually finally healthy.
Yeah. Give me my 50 grand when you sign.
Yeah, exactly. So, Dalton Kincaid, I think it's a great value here. The Saints get him, before he makes it to the second round where somebody could trade up. And he's, you said Michael Mayer's the best receiving tight end talent. I think Dalton Kincaid's really close.
Yeah.
Really, really, really close. And, I don't think that the Saints ask their tight ends to block a lot. So I think it could be a great pick.
No, I think it is a good fit. And the Saints do need a tight end badly. So I think this
Jawan Johnson is good, but I don't know if he's a super long. They just signed him to extension, but I just don't know if they run a lot of 2 tight end sets. Former University of Dayton man Adam Troutman, if he's your tight end too, and you run a lot of 2 tight end sets, it's just not going to work out.
No, that's true. I like that pick a lot. I am now on the clock at 30 with the Philadelphia Eagles, who we had a pick earlier. So we had Nolan Smith earlier, from Georgia, there, the linebacker. We talked about maybe going Bijan Robinson earlier. I am obviously not going him. He's been taking, but I will stick with the running back position. I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs. This might be a little high for him. I'm not going to lie, but I do think that they need a running back. Letting Sanders go, you can deal with it, but you need somebody to eventually replace him, and they've done nothing in free agency to show that they're going to. I would expect that Jahmyr Gibbs is pretty high on their board here at 30, and I do think that he's also just wonderful. I mean, he was spectacular all year. The reputation Alabama has with running backs is just not bad as well. So
there's a couple small names, I think.
Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry. No. So they're going to be. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be good for them, and I think the Eagles are are praying Bijan Robinson gets there at 30. I don't think he's going to be there.
Yeah.
But if not, I think they're plenty happy with Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, I would agree. And then last pick of the draft, with the 31st, because the Dolphins don't have a pick, so there's only 31, is the Chiefs. And I'm taking Miles Murphy, the defensive end out of Clemson. This team is pretty, like, they're great every single year, so there's not really anything that they need. I think the only thing that really they do need is edge pressure. And with Frank Clark and up there in age, I think it'd just be nice to have Murphy learning under him for a year or two, however many he has left in him, and then kind of going for the future from there, just kind of reloading that position.
Yeah, it's like the same thing last year. Then they picked George Karlaftis. It's like they just draft a guy with insane potential, huge, fast. And like George Karlaftis looked really good at the end of last year, but they need is like the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, the Eagles. Everybody's like in the Chargers. Everybody's like about to pay their quarterbacks need like cheap guys who are going to be borderline Pro Bowlers like soon. And I think Miles Murphy like actually has that potential. I don't think his ceiling is high as like a Tyree Wilson, but like he's really good like right now.
Yeah, no, there were plenty of mock drafts where Murphy was going at like 10.
Joel Klatt has Murphy going at like 8.
Yeah, no, there's like
Yeah.
Some people have him really high. Some
some
people have
him
him
really low.
like
Yeah.
late second round.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, there's a huge disparity.
That's the best part about the mock draft season. It's like the same thing with every NFL team. Like the Lions could have, Kancey as their 9th best player, and then the Texans could have him as their 68th best player. It's just so random. It's unbelievable. That's like the best part about the whole thing.
Yeah, I might have to rewatch Draft Day 4 times in the next 3 weeks.
I'm super excited. This draft is the parity in this draft is going to be awesome because after the first 2 picks, I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen, and I don't even know what the first 2.
First 2 picks, you know what's going to happen, but you don't know which order it's going to happen in.
Yep.
And even that, like what we talked about earlier, if Young goes 1, Texans could
different direction.
Screw the quarterback. We're taking Anderson, and then
they trade down with somebody else to come up and get Stroud.
Yeah,
and they get just a bunch of picks, and then they
And
can
they
fill
tank,
a lot of
next year.
Then they fill all their holes, and then
They get Caleb Williams. That's pretty unbelievable.
I can promise you that if Stroud's there too, and Texans GM texts into the group chat and say who wants it, he's gonna have his phone.
Colts are trading up.
He's gonna have his phone.
immediately.
His phone is gonna be ringing off the hook.
who wants them? Yeah.
Anybody want my pick?
Yeah, I think so. That those 6 teams that wanted to trade up for Anthony Richardson, I think 12 teams would try to trade up for CJ Stroud. So
Yeah. No, I agree. This has been good though. We might be doing this again in like a week and a half. I don't know, and because it depends on how much changes in the next week and a half. Because if a bunch of stuff changes, then we'll redo it, and I'm sure it'll go completely different direction.
Which they do every time.
Which is the fun part of mock drafts. But other than that, any closing comments out of you guys?
No, thanks for having me. This was fun.
Oh man, this is a blast, dude. NFL mock drafts are just. This just makes the building up suspense until draft night. Just building it up, building it up, building it up.
PFF changed it so you can't do their full 7-round one anymore.
You can do one somewhere.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that they had like the grades and stuff. It was
Yeah.
That's true.
Which PFF grades are never terrible.
They're always they always when they work in. I love how everybody will trash PFF grades when they're like, oh, dude, like he played way better. And then like there's like somebody has a good one, and they're like, dude, his PFF grade was an 80.
And then their favorite player grades is a top 3 quarterback like Jared Goff.
Yeah.
He's better than
Amon-Ra St. Brown was the #1 receiver according to PFF last year, and I won't even try to even like process that's actually real.
top 10.
I would almost argue that he was nearly top 10. Like in disregarding ranking, yeah.
I think so.
But not even like top 10 is pushing it.
Top 1 though.
Yeah, like top 5 is baffling. You're telling
with an argument.
You're telling me he was better than Justin Jefferson. That's what you're trying to tell me.
Or, I mean, I get Jamar Chase because he was hurt, but
but like
he's not better than Tyreek Hill last year.
No, like I saw that and I'm like, that's gotta be a joke, but it was real. So
they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they just get people to hate him, so then people are checking.
It's like one last thing. I think it's really funny. My friends and I always talk about this. Patrick Queen. You know, like Patrick Queen, you look at his stats. You're like, oh, he got 100 tackles, 4 sacks, 3 picks. You're like, dang, he's really balling out. And then you check his PFF grade. It's like the worst starting, not even worst starting linebacker, worst qualified, like out of like 90 linebackers, he's 90th. And you're like, I watch Ravens games. He had 2.5 sacks. How is he like the worst linebacker? It doesn't make any sense.
Detroit was a PFF like
Malcolm Rodriguez.
Dude, Malcolm Rodriguez, James Houston was in this. Like at one point, like if you want to follow like the fan pages, right? And the one dude just swears by PFF. It's kind of annoying, but he's like,
It's a red flag.
yeah, I know. I'm like, dude, you're a very biased fan then.
Yeah.
But he's like, Malcolm Rodriguez is a top 5 linebacker in the league so far. And I'm like, he's been great. He's for sure top 5 rookie linebacker in the league right now, but top 5 linebacker in the league. Like,
Yeah, that's great.
I could probably name 30 that are better. Like,
Yeah, maybe not 30, but yeah, I mean it's close. It's close.
Yeah.
Probably 30.
I bet it would be close.
I think so. We're talking just like off-ball linebackers, like non-edge rushers.
Yeah, we're like, so
it'd be close.
I don't know. But yeah, he's definitely not top 5. But either way, this has been fun. We'll be doing this again, or we'll be recapping the draft here soon as well. So other than that, this has been the Sports Geeks podcast. They play, we talk. Thanks for watching, guys.